Oh, okay. Hello, it is Romania Black, and I'm used to looking at my webcam that's over here. I've got to look up here because I'm on my regular camera, but we are back for another summer live stream. This one was actually not originally planned today, but I was going to do this a couple weeks ago, and I felt really bad that day, so I rescheduled it for today. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a live stream for a couple hours this afternoon that's going to be focusing on Scum Villain's self-saving system, talking a little bit about Danmei and BL. There's a lot going on the channel with BL right now, and I'm super excited about it. So I hope you all are doing great. Hello, Cookielicious. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. It's great to have you in the chat. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about, before we get started, while we get started with this, I made the horrible mistake of going and looking at the latest Rent-A-Girlfriend chapter and was like, that was a mistake because, I'm so heated about that right now. But that's why we're going to talk about non-heterosexual relationships and get into Scum Villain self-saving system, which I was taking a picture for the live stream thumbnail, and so I brought the first volume up here to do that, and also to talk about Danmei and BL in general. So should be a fun. Oh man, Caitlin V, it's 3 a.m. Holy cow! Well, I wanted to try to do live streams at different times because I know that time zones are crazy and everybody's on different ones. So I want to try to do one like in the afternoon. The next one that I do is going to be early morning. So for me, so that's going to be next weekend. But yeah. Oh, Cookielicious, thank you. I cannot believe that the Rent-A-Girlfriend video has done as well as it has. I was really surprised by that. I'm very humbled, very thankful for that. I have read and kept up with the manga after the fact, and it's just made me madder. So I was just like, it just ticked me off. And today, chapter 385 came out, which has been, if you can believe it, 5 weeks after I finished that. But yes, thank you, Caitlin V. Good things must be said thrice. But yeah, I just read the latest chapter literally before getting on here, and it just made me my blood boil. So I'm happy to talk about Scum Villain self-saving system with you all and things that are not Rent-A-Girlfriend. So that's great. Hello, Zio. Finally caught a live stream. Awesome. Yay. I'm excited about that. Yes. So this one's just for a couple hours this afternoon. I was originally going to do the Scum Villain self-saving system live stream a few weeks ago. I wasn't feeling good. So I was like, I'll just reschedule it for in between the other live streams I have. Oh, Be Happy. I'm so glad you're here too. Hello, chat. Be Happy has been channel for a while. They are an amazing person. They're super awesome. And they are a lover of MXTX as I am. And so hopefully you all are doing really good. Hello, Ira. Hello, Caro. Is it Caro? Caro. In any case, hello. But yeah, so I'm super excited with y'all. I have a lot of, unlike last week, Caitlin V, thank you. Justice for Liu Chinge. Yes, good night, good morning. You'll be able to see this when you wake up. So hopefully we'll answer questions that you might have had. So that'll be pretty exciting. But get some sleep. 3 a.m. sounds crazy. I'm old if I'm not passed out by midnight. I have arrived. Did you know, Star? Nice to see you. But yeah, so I was really lucky last week when we talked about a live stream. Everything was very impromptu. There wasn't much of a structure to it. I have a structure today. So we have structure. We have questions that the patrons have asked about Scum Villain self-saving system. We have some YouTube questions. I'm super excited that there's an order. Why Borkun is off in the corner. My dogs just ate lunch, and Huckleberry is usually grumbly after eating. So he may growl and be grumbly, but he means well. But I was telling the moderators, I literally have been watching an episode of Word of Honor today, and there he is. I was watching an episode of Word of Honor, and I had to stop the discussion because I was going to run out of time before getting on here. So when I'm done with this live stream, I've got to go back to the discussion. So if you see this shirt in a future reaction, you will know where it's from. So yes, Zio says Scum Villain self-saving system is the one MXTX series I haven't read. Oh, well, we are going to be talking spoilers. So that is, if you are concerned about spoilers and you want to go in blind to that series, Zio, you might come back next week when we're talking about Revolutionary Girl Utena. That'll be at 9 a.m. or 9 or 10 a.m., one of those time frames next weekend. So Hopefully that works out, but I appreciate you showing up. But yes, we need to talk first and foremost. There are going to be spoilers to Scum Villain self-saving system because all of these questions revolve around them. So if you're someone that has not watched Scum Villain or care about spoilers, then this might not be the stream. Just be advised, this might not be the stream for you. There's going to be spoilers. Any other Danmei or BL that we talk about in this stream is I'm going to try to not spoil as much as possible. There are some questions that were asked of me that are relating to MXTX's other works, which are Modao Zushi and Heaven Official's Blessing. So a couple of these questions will have to do with those characters. So I am going to talk a little bit about those, but I'm going to try to be as spoilery free as possible. And I've got another little like doodad over here with some stuff pulled up because I've been told in one of the questions to look up some artwork that I'm terrified about. So that should be fun. But I hope you all are doing great. It's Sunday. It's great. Last week we did a live stream. I've got one more for July next weekend, so I'm excited about that. Yes, I oh, did you know, Vistar, you have a favorite donghua that you've watched? Well, okay, so of the donghua that I have seen so far, I would say that Link Click is my favorite. Would we call Link Click a Danmei? I believe that I would, but that's debatable depending on who you're asking. But Link Click is my favorite donghua that I've watched so far. It's so good. I'm so excited for season 3. To answer anybody's questions, I have not watched the preview. I want to go in blind as I can, but I've heard people in the Discord have been talking about it under black box, so I'm assuming it's great. But yes. Oh, Zio, to answer your question before you go about the Final Given movie, I have not, but it is going to I'm going to be watching it next week. It's going to come out on Patreon the first Friday of August and then YouTube the following week. So I will be reacting to the Final Given movie. I'm pretty excited about that. So yes, speaking of BL, I'm really excited. But yes, not Modao Zushi, you traitor. Well, be happy look. Donghua, here's my thing. As a series as a whole, it gets a lot more complicated and a lot harder to answer that question. But in terms of the donghua, like just the animated series, Modao Zushi's great. Heaven Official's Blessing is great, but Link Click is top tier. So it's really hard to say. And yes, Given. Yes, did you know, Star? There is another Given movie. It just came out earlier this spring. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to react to. I'm excited about that. So yes, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about Scum Villain self-saving system. Be happy's like I'm just teasing. I know. I feel anytime some of these questions y'all have asked me to answer about Scum Villain self-saving system, some of them are asking me to rate things or talk about my favorites, and that's hard. That's really hard. As Be Happy has said, I am excited to hopefully watch more donghua in the future. I really like Chinese animation and Chinese dramas. If you all are watching Word of Honor, you know I'm obsessed with that series. So fun times. But yeah, so I'm excited to get started on some of these Scum Villain self-saving system questions and to get into that. Hopefully before though, I hope you all, if you're on Patreon, the audio drama for episode 9 of season 1 of Heaven Official's Blessing just came out. It'll be out on YouTube next week, which is exciting. It's been a literal year since I've watched anything with Heaven Official's Blessing, which time blows my mind. It's been a year. That's crazy. And then I just started on Patreon today. Hikaru, the summer Hikaru died. And when I tell you I'm obsessed with that series, I am obsessed. I've recorded the discussions for the summer Hikaru died. The discussions for the episodes I've seen so far are so long. I go crazy. I've been able to be a teacher again. Whiteboard Kun has come out and I have been discussing mythology. We're discussing symbolism. It's so much fun. The summer Hikaru died is giving me life this summer. It is giving me a second wind, getting ready for fall. I absolutely am obsessed with it. So yes, we're getting in. Oh, Annie, I'm so happy you're here. Yes. Yes, the Link Click donghua wins ever so slightly over Modao Zushi. Modao Zushi is great, but Link Click is just as a series. I think what helps Link Click Anime Annie is that there's not other adaptations it draws from. It's the original. Whereas Modao Zushi, the novel and the audio drama for Modao Zushi, I actually kind of like more than the donghua. So that's that. Cookielicious asks, okay. So you all are getting into questions in the chat about series I haven't seen yet. So I'm going to avoid looking at those. So, hey, Trek. Oh, good. I'm glad you came here to say hi. So, let's get into this. Let's talk about Scum Villain self-saving system. And if other BL and subjects come up along the way, we will get there. But I have a lot of questions that you all on YouTube and Patreon have asked. I want to go through them. Be happy's like there won't be any spoilers in the chat. I should have assigned a moderator, but I was not on there. Sunspots is here too. Damn, the occult has assembled. The Danmei will bring people out of the trenches. Hello, Breezy. Danmei will bring people out into the open in a heartbeat. That's for sure. Okay, so let's get started with this. Be Happy was the first patron to ask the comment on here that we are starting with, which is how do you rate your experience with Scum Villain self-saving system now that several months have passed since you finished it? I would say that time heals all wounds. And time also makes things better in retrospect, I feel. I honestly feel like I have calmed down a lot in my views of Scum Villain self-saving system. I still have issues with it, and that's kind of like stuck with me over the course of watching, but I think overall, and I'll talk about this a little bit more with one of the other questions, is that I think the fandom has honestly softened my view of it the most, because I had a lot of, if you were watching my reactions, I had a lot of strong opinions about the end of volume 3 and about certain extras. I had a lot of strong opinions about it. There were parts I really did not like. But I've noticed that the fandom, especially on Twitter, which is where I see most of the media that gets put in the Discord and things like that, the fandom paints Scum Villain in such a better light than I feel that sometimes the novel does. The fandom is able to be like, oh my gosh, this one scene where something horrific and traumatizing is happening. And they're like, what a funny joke we can make out of it, or what a cutesy fan art we can make out of it. And I'll see that fan art on Twitter and go, that scene's actually really brutal. And just go, that scene's actually terrifying. What? So I feel like sometimes the fandom gives it a little bit of a gloss. And the fandom is like, oh, it's actually not, I'm not saying the fandom's gaslighting, but I think the fandom is like, it's all good, man. It's all fine. And then when you see it for yourself in the moment for the first time, you're like, Cookielicious says, is Scum Villain's getting a hardcover version, a hard version indeed. But I'm conflicted about getting it because it's so expensive. Oh, Cookielicious, I understand your struggle because I purchased all of the paperback versions of Heaven Official's Blessing. And now I've been seeing online through social media all of the hardback editions and have found out there are additional drawings that were not in the original versions. And I'm like, you bastards. Because for one, it's one thing if the publishing companies just release a hardcover version of the paperback version. You're like, why would I buy two versions of the same story? I already have the paperback. I don't need the hardcover. But then they get the illustrator to do a couple extra drawings. And I'm like, that's cruel. That's mean. That's cheating. So I feel your pain. I would say if you don't have the original Scum Villain versions, then getting the hardback versions would be the best bet. But if you already have a copy, it's like, But yeah, did you know, Star? I understand the need to have all of the artwork is real. And Be Happy, the Nile is a river in Egypt. Denial is real. So yeah, I would say my experience with Scum Villain, I have softened on it. I am okay with it. Is it my favorite of MXTX's stories? No. But I don't hate it. It's not something that I will never go back to. And when I'm online and I see fan art, I like to share it in the Discord and I like to experience it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a cool fan art. That's really nice. The characters I like. And so the characters draw me back to it. Whenever I get mad about certain plot points, it is always the characters that draw me back to Scum Villain. And I really think they're well drawn. They're well drawn out and created by MXTX. So I can't be mad at her for doing that. Anime Annie says, Scum Villain's fandom definitely gives the pain more of a rainbows and unicorns hue, whereas Modao Zushi and the Heaven Official Blessing fandoms just want to rip your hearts out. Yeah, that was one thing I noticed with the comments with Scum Villain when I was reading it and reacting to it, was that whenever I would talk about Scum Villain, it very much seems like if you've not read Scum Villain and you've read Heaven Official's Blessing, when you go into Scum Villain, those two stories are so different. And Modao Zushi is definitely the Goldilocks middle child. Modao Zushi is kind of like the happy medium of you get the heartbreak, but you also get like the kinkery and you get a little bit of toxicity, but you also get the sweet happy ending. Like Modao Zushi's meeting you in the middle, whereas Heaven Official's Blessing goes to an extreme and Scum Villain goes to an extreme. And I noticed in the comments, a lot of people would start to dog Heaven Official's Blessing by saying that it's not as good as Scum Villain. And I'm like, you're comparing dragon fruit and strawberries at that point. You know, you're comparing apples and oranges. And it was really hard because I loved Heaven Official's Blessing. And I do think that because I loved it so much, the reasons why I loved it were the reasons that were getting me agitated with Scum Villain. And that's just, you know, you have MXTX's first work versus their last work up until, you know, whatever they're working on now. So it was just so fascinating to me. Diginova Star says, random question, do you accept submissions of fan art? Submissions of fan art as in like links to it or your own? I have a lot of people in the Discord that publish their own fan art, which is awesome. People can send me fan art. I don't care. That's fine. If you all want to mail me a letter, sure, absolutely. Ruthie is a great artist. I love their art so much. Yes, Ruthie is an amazing artist. I love all their work for the series. The way they capture expressions. Every time I would read Scum Villain, I would wait to see one of their drawings. I would hope that the chapter I was reading had a drawing to it because their work is just so beautiful. And the way they draw expressions, mwah, just awesome. Be Happy says, having to moderate the comments, there are some strong opinions about characters that can be touchy about their favorites. Isn't that the thing with all fandoms, though? I feel like I get defensive sometimes of my favorites. And I feel like with fandoms, it's so easy, especially because in Danmei and BL content, you know, there's a stigma against BL and Danmei to begin with. So it feels natural that we develop very hardcore, very strong opinions about characters that we like, because a lot of people who are reading these stories are possibly from queer spaces and relate to these characters very strongly. And so it only makes sense why you develop that attachment. And then when somebody like me is out here being like, well, I don't like that character, then you're like, well, do you not like me? And it's like, no, not at all. So that's not what I was getting at. So yeah, I definitely agree with Be Happy. Be Happy in the chat had to moderate, unread all those comments before they told me what I could read and not read. And they deserve a medal, a cookie, a sainthood, because there were some things they're like, no, you just don't need to go there. And I was like, ah. So Tamir says, I just completed reading Modao Zushi today. All three of the series are pretty different. Yes, I'm going to start watching your reaction soon. Oh, cool. I think I prefer Heaven Official's Blessing over it, but it's an easy 8.5. Here's the thing. MXTX is an amazing writer, and MXTX did something that's so smart. She created 3 series that are within the same genre of Danmei, but have main couple, 3 very different stories, 3 very different genre distinctions. So whereas some authors kind of write the same thing, just with a different swatch of paint to reach an audience, I love that MXTX is like, I want to reach different audiences and different likes. And so that's something that's so genius about her. And I love that she does it, but does it in a way where you still know it's an MXTX story. You appreciate her writing, which I'll talk about here in a second with something else. But yeah, Truck says, I think the SVSSS fandom is a sadistic group that finds the horrible things as nice things instead of Modao Zushi and Heaven Official's Blessing that see the dark and depressing as dark and depressing. Look, one thing was someone on Twitter had said that they didn't think Heaven Official's Blessing, they said Heaven Official's Blessing was a cutesy story. And I like nearly took off my glasses and went, what? I felt like Mila Acuna who's like, what did you just say? Like Heaven Official's Blessing is dark as shit. And I was like, no, I just think that it handles the main couple romance way differently than Scum Villain does. But again, it's apples and oranges. You like what you like, and it's okay. One thing I noticed with Scum Villain was I had a lot of people that would say that if I didn't like a certain thing, I was saying that it was bad. And I was like, no, I'm like, you can like a story to pieces, but you can criticize it. Like as an English teacher, I encourage students to do that. I'm like, just because you like something doesn't mean that it's not without fault. And a sign of critical thinking is you can look at that and say, yeah, this is a problem with it. The author could have done this, but I still like it because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that in our culture, especially online, anytime you offer a critique, it's like, oh, well, you think it's terrible. And it's like, no, not at all. I think that anything, there's no such thing as perfect, as much as the internet would like to portray that reality. It's not. Nothing's perfect. Everything can be improved upon. And so there was that with the comments sometimes. So you got to kind of deal with that. Lorelei S, hello. I've not been able to get into Modazushi, but I adore Heaven and Scum Villain. They are very different stories for sure. Be Happy says Modazushi reactions are my comfort watch. Oh, I feel like Modazushi will always have a special place in my heart because it was my first Danmei. So it will always hold a special place in my heart no matter what I read or watch. Like that's just going to be there. I just think it's funny. I started with the middle child, then went to the youngest, and then came back to Scum Villain for the eldest sibling. Tamir, I love the start of Scum Villain so much, and then the finale happened. I want to talk about with one of the comments with that. At least the extras are some of the best. Let me see here. Yeah, TGCF cutesy. Someone said it was a happy, fluffy story, and I was like, well, we experienced it very differently. Oh, thank you, DigiNovastar. I appreciate that. Yeah, you, DigiNovastar in the chat has been there since the beginning, and I really appreciate all of your support. It's been like 5 years, so crazy times. Crazy times. Chi-Rong is really cutesy. Depends on what volume. Depends on what volume and what story. Yeah. Vis-a-vis, thank you. Oh, vis-a-vis, I love the name. A lot of times I say something is not for me, than thinking it's bad because I'm very non-confrontational. Yeah, and I feel like I have to do that too in the comments, is just saying, oh, I just respectfully, I'm definitely the person that will say I respectfully disagree because I want to get my point across. I'm kind of, the Taurus in me is like, I don't want to say, oh yeah, no, I can be confrontational, but I don't mean anything bad by it. So I'll be like, oh, I don't agree, but it's cool that your opinions are valid, right? I feel like everybody's opinions about a story, especially literature, they are valid. And it's cool that we can talk about what we like and don't like and why we like and don't like it, because I think that's important. We need to have those conversations. It's good that we don't all agree, right? Tamir says, yeah, about Heaven Official's blessing. People have a lot of bias, but I feel some people don't want to acknowledge the fact that people have flaws. Yeah, the internet tries to make it to where you need to be perfect. And I'm like, but that's not realistic in any way, shape, or form, right? And I applaud MXTX for writing 3 very long, very complete stories and to stick the landing on most of them. Scum Villain is the one ending that I'm like, but then they had the extras and that kind of made up for it. So I'll give her flowers because she went back into the extras and that made Scum Villain enjoyable again. So I'll definitely give her props for that one. Ira S says it's very difficult to recommend some things that I like to others that have parts that I'm critical of because I don't want to seem like I'm saying everything is good. Oh yeah, I'm watching on my channel right now such a variety of shows. And I've had some people in the comments when I'm doing polls or things like that, where they'll say, oh, that show's not good. You won't like that show, or who likes this show or whatever. And I've had to kind of call out some mean-spirited people in the comments and say, you can't do that because one, I like, unless it's a hardcore pornography. And I'm like, nope. Or unless it's like a jump scare horror. I don't like jump scare horror. I'm like, I can do creepy thrillers. I don't like jump scares. So unless it's those, I try to be open to anything, because I've watched some series that from surface value, I was like, oh, I'm not going to like that. And then I got into the show and I'm like, oh, this is actually really good. And it's really good for X, Y, and Z. So I like having a variety on the channel. I don't want to get stuck with anime into a niche. As Be Happy says, unless it's Rent a Girlfriend. Can we talk for 5 seconds about Rent a Girlfriend? Can we talk for 5 seconds about it? Because before I got on this live stream, I literally went and read the newest chapter of it, and I was so mad. I was like, I want to answer these comments in the chat first, and then I'm going to rant about it for a solid minute. I'm going to limit myself to 30 to 60 seconds after I look at this chat, and then I'm going to rant for 60 seconds about Rent a Girlfriend because I need to get it off my chest. But what Breezy said, I find it weird when people think you can't criticize things that you like and still be a fan of it, or you can't appreciate an element of something if you just like it. Yes, exactly, Breezy, 100%. I feel like sometimes we try to make it a competition of which MXTX series is the best, and it's really just a matter of, no, it's not that. It's that we all like them for different reasons, and that's what's so great about it, right? Oh yeah, Mad over Spy Family. That video essay about Spy Family, I still get comments about people being like, well, I'm like, We're not going to get into Spy Family. This is about BL and Danmei and relationships in this live stream today. And Spy Family is a little bit lacking in that. Season 1 anyway. Anyway, rant. Okay. Rent a Girlfriend seems like something Shin Yan would read. Oh my God. Yes. No, that is vis-a-vis. That is so hilarious. Be happy. Are you still torturing yourself? I maybe have gained a little bit of masochism from reading MXTX's works. But yeah, no. So, okay. I did a video essay. I'm going to limit myself. It's 1:26 on here. I'm going to limit myself, try to a minute. I have to explain it first and then give myself a minute. So I did a video essay about Rent a Girlfriend. I'm very proud of it. I'm very humbled that y'all seem to like it too. But I had somebody ask if I was going to keep up with the series and do updates. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep reading the chapters every now and then. And then when the series is over, I would like to do a follow-up video. So here's my 60 seconds starting right now. I read chapter 385 today, and what's been going on in that series is that Kazuya, who's an idiot, is leaving the house, as he should, leaving Chizuhara, as he should, to go get himself together. And what does the mangaka have this girl do? She's like, oh, he's leaving my house. I did turn him down. I did kick him out. I did not going to date him. And then he gets his stuff together. He's moping and being like, I don't know why she's upset and blah, blah, blah. It can't have anything to do with me, blah, blah, blah. And then he's getting into the taxi cab. And what does this bitch do? She goes up to him and like gives him a French kiss in the taxi cab to wish him off. I'm gonna choke on my coffee. I was so mad. I was like, girl, what? I was like, girl, you just turned him down on a date, are asking him to leave your apartment. He's doing what you want. You need to give him space to figure himself out. You need to figure yourself out. And what do? You give him a French kiss in the taxi to send him on. What message do you think that's sending? Okay. That's been my minute. So mad. I was so mad. I read that right before starting this live stream. I was like, why did I do that? I was so mad. No, I am not watching Revenge Love. That may be a series I get to eventually. But oh my God, aggressively sips coffee. I be happy after this. I'm like, I'm going to wait till the series is completely over, I think, and then go. Mixed signals, much indeed. I was so mad. And the thing of it is it's so out of character for her. And that's why I'm mad at the mangaka, because the mangaka has set her character up to be a certain way and then just completely backtracks on that character and makes them out of character. I'm like, what are you doing? It just feels like everything is working towards the main character getting what he wants in the end, rather than having to work and have serious retrospection and reflection on their character. And I'm just like, so anyway, but I honestly think that Kazuya, if Kazuya would go through the same transition that Shin Chingcho had to do in this series, it might work out better for him. But you know, what can we do? I was so pissed. I was like, and the only reason I pulled it up to look at it is because I pulled up this because I have pictures that I want to show you all here in a little bit, and the tab was still up. And so I was like, okay. I was like, we'll just do that. So I'm closing out of that tab as we speak. So no more Rent a Girlfriend until the series is over. Because I was just like, I cannot with you, mangaka. I need to watch some good romance, and you are the furthest from it. So let's get back into Scum Villain self-saving system. The next question, I actually had two questions. One was from Full Metal JKJM from YouTube that was asking, oh yeah, sorry, Rent a Girlfriend jump scare, Zeus. We are done with that. Hi, Nicholas. How are you? So Full Metal JKJM says, hi, Romania. It's been a while since you finished Scum Villain self-saving system. What are your thoughts about Bingchu and the change in general? Which I think I just talked about with y'all. I think Bingchu, they're not my favorite ship of the MXTX series. But like I said earlier, I've been on Twitter and seen a lot of fan art of them. And I'm going to be honest, you all Scum Villain fan artists, your rainbows and unicorn hue that you paint over them as a couple, it has wormed its way into my heart. I have kind of succumb to being like, oh, that's nice. And I feel like where MXTX ends the series, there is hope for them as a couple, and I think I would like them moving forward as a couple. It just took the entire the entire series to get there, right? Oh my gosh. So yeah, the other question they asked, they had a series of questions, Full Metal did, and so I want to get to those in here. They asked, there's something in the chat here. Sorry. The chat says, Bingchu could be so much better if Binghae bottomed. Oh my God, Truck. Thank you. I am a Binghae bottom believer. I am a BBB. I am a Binghae bottom believer. I saw some fan art and I shared it in the Discord because it was literally like, one thing that I have loved about the series that has softened my view of Bingchu is there's a lot of fan art out there that does Lo Binghae, and then it has Shin Ching-cho, but it has oh God, it's him from before he was transmigrated. So it has Shin's original form with Lo Binghae. I honestly love the fan art and stuff around that. It's hard to explain in words, but before he transmigrated, he was such a fanboy of Lo Binghae that I feel it works better for him to be shipped with that Binghae. And so there was a fan art that I shared in the Discord of him pre-transmigration where he was like meeting Lo Binghae in person. He was like, oh my gosh, we're going to do it. Okay. All right. And then Lo Binghae shows him his heavenly pillar and Shin's like, no. And I was like, yes, exactly. Because in the real world, that would not work. And so he's like, I'm going to top and you're going to bottom. And Binghae's happy either way, as long as he's with his man, he don't care. So I thought that was perfect. I was like, no, that's cracking the code. Let's not make Shin Ching-cho suffer anymore. Let's make him be the top and let Lo Binghae be the bottom, and all of our problems are solved. We've cracked the code. We've solved the problems. It's great. Hey, Nicholas. And there's talking to Be Happy. Hello, little dude. Happy Sunday. Be Happy says Binghae is so submissive coded. If he'd be bottom, that would solve a lot of headaches. Yes, absolutely. And Shin Ching-cho as a fanboy, simp, I'm with that. My dogs are also going to bark and chase each other because it's that time of day where they're going to play with one another. So, oh yes. Yes. The dia pair. I can see that as well, Nicholas. So OG Binghae and Shin Yan, it hits different. Yes, it does, vis-a-vis 100%. So Full Metal's next question was, is Shin Ching-cho still your favorite MC in MXTX's universe? And if not, who is your favorite? Okay. They're not. So I'm so sorry. I liked Shin Ching-cho at the beginning of the story so much, and at the end of the story so much. But in the middle, as I was reading, I think my problem, and one of the things during the reactions that I realized was I had projected a lot of myself on a Shin Ching-cho because I thought Shin Ching-cho and I were very similar, projecting myself onto this fictional character. We're making a lot of the same decisions. We're doing the same things. I would think this way too. And there comes a point in Scum Villain around volume 3 where Shin Ching-cho starts to make different decisions than I would have made and handles things in a lot different way than I would have handled it. And I was like, oh, we are very different, actually. and so that kind of made me have to rethink the character. I'll be honest with y'all, as of lately, Shilian has been my favorite. Shilian from Heaven Official's Blessing can do no wrong for me. He is Angel Baby. He is Saint. He can do no wrong. I am 1,000 times here for Shilian, especially with, there's been a lot of stuff come out with the audio drama that I've been trying to stay away from spoilers because I'm like, no, because the audio drama has revised material in it and all of that. So, but I've seen some stills and some artwork that I was like, oh, it's so well done. But anyway, yeah. Vis-a-vis says that kind of thing bothered me about Shin Ching-cho, how he dated his feels at one point. Yes. And it rubbed me the wrong way. He feels like a transmigrator from 2010. Well, I think that was MXTX's point, was to make him dated. And one thing I liked about Shin Ching-cho's character was where he starts at is flawed. He starts out the series very flawed, and he starts out the series with kind of these dated ideas and concepts, and he thinks that it's just a game, and he thinks he can play the system, and he starts out as a character that is kind of like, you know, the original Shin Ching-cho is kind of unlikable in ways. And then as the series goes, he learns more about the world, he gets more into it, and then he realizes, oh, I need to change. And that's why by the end of the story, I liked him, because he kind of comes into his own. He changes. He realizes who he is. He updates his opinions about things. He's more open-minded. Like, I liked him by the end of it. It just, he has to go through this like ugly Simba phase on a log, like the Lion King, before he gets to that point, right? But yes, yes, Holy Saint Shelian, be happy 100%. Shelian can do no wrong to me. Vis-a-vis, I've read other transmigration stories, and it's interesting to see transmigrators who act like they're from 2020 instead of 2010. You would be amazed how much a difference 10 years can make. 10 years can make a lot of difference in how things are portrayed in media. That's for damn sure. Cookielicious, will you watch the Heaven Officials Blessing shorts? And Lorelai is asking the same thing. And so is Rose Jennison. Oh my God. So the answer is yes. I've told the Discord and I've told Patreon. And then, yes, be happy in the audio drama reaction. I'll just say it here too, because people may not have watched the audio drama reaction yet. I wanted to wait until the first 3, because I heard the Heaven Officials Blessing shorts were in like multiple parts, at least 3, maybe more, who knows. So my plan was to wait until the 3rd part comes out, which will probably be around this fall. And then I'm going to react to parts 1, 2, and 3 together as one big reaction. And I've been told, I know that some of the shorts are on Crunchyroll, but I was told to go to the Bilibili 10-cent versions because their subtitles are better and not AI generated, and AI can suck it. So I'm going to be going to Bilibili because to do those reactions, because I had been told that Crunchyroll was using AI translators. Now, allegedly, that's not true. It's just what I heard from a source. But I will not support AI translations because they are, we've talked about this online, but translating is an art. Like when I was in college, I did stuff with fan translations and studying it, and it is an art form. And so I don't like the idea of a software program translating it, because it's like using Google Translate. You may get the denotative definitions of something, but you're going to miss out on the emotional context, the cultural context so much. And AI just doesn't know that because they're not actual humans speaking the language. So I will probably watch on Bilibili. That's my AI rant for today. But I am going to watch it this fall. When part 3 comes out, I'm going to watch parts 1, 2, and 3 of Heaven Officials Blessings mini movies, do a big reaction. I'm excited about it. I've been keeping out of spoilers, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, right? But yes, Shelian is my favorite as well, Tamir says, but I feel so bad for Wei Wuxian, because don't get me wrong, I love Wei Wuxian too. Wei Wuxian's amazing. I love him so much. It's just, if you ask me to choose a favorite, then there we go. Hello, Anime Annie. Oh, I'm sorry you have an ice pack, but an apologetic dog giving kisses is really good. I have Ruby at my feet right now. Her and Huckleberry are done playing with each other, so she's like down below me. Okay. Oh, Tamir says, who is your favorite final villain in MXTX stories? Ooh, that is one thing I loved about Scum Villain, is that the final villain isn't really a final villain. I will say, of the final villains in MXTX, it's the one in Heaven Officials Blessing. I'm going to spoil it if you've not read Heaven Officials Blessing, but the final villain in MXTX stories, I feel like, is the one with Heaven Officials Blessing, because it just, even if you see it coming from a mile away, the way that it's detailed and planned out is just, it's very satisfying. And it's a satisfying ending because the villain's kind of been there for a while. So it's good to see some conclusion with them, right? I'm glad we get some Wei Wuxian love in here. Wei Wuxian is amazing. He will always be special to me. I love him. Truck says, it was almost confirmed they used AI, at least with one show. They forgot to edit out a chat GPT said, oh my God, in the insert subs in some German translation of a show. Oh my God. Yep. So y'all know my thoughts on AI, so not gonna get into more detail with that. But Wei Wuxian's amazing. I don't want to dog Wei Wuxian. We're going to talk about him in a little bit with one of these questions. Full Metal also asks, if you were in MXTX's shoes and wanted to do a revision as it's being done or has been done with Heaven Officials Blessing, what would you change about Scum Villain's self-saving system? Make it longer. That is the one big like ding I have against Scum Villain, is that I went for, because Modao Zushi is 5 volumes long. It is 5 volumes. Modao Zushi, I feel, is the perfect length. It's 5 volumes. You get plenty with those characters. It's a nice little happy medium. Heaven Official's Blessing is like 8 volumes long. And I love that series so much that it doesn't feel long to me. But when some people point out that some of the times they go back and forth to the caves, sometimes they go back and forth and do kind of repetitive settings, I'm like, yeah, they could have probably cut that down. But I love it so much that I'm biased and will tolerate it. But what I loved about it is it's so long. You have so much time with your main couple that they have time to work out situations, work out communication, all of that. Scum Villain. Oh, those are your questions too. Why did I have Full Metal on there as well? Be happy. Maybe it was just that one question they were asking as well. I'm sorry. Sorry, Be Happy. I need to get them out of there. Their question's been answered. But anyway, so I feel like with Scum Villain, though, it's only 3 volumes. And I get what MXTX was doing because it's kind of a parody on the fact that Proud Immortal Demon Way was, a million chapters. And MXTX is like, JK, this one's only going to be 3 volumes. And so I love that that's what they do. And I like the concept of it. But when you get so invested in the characters, you're kind of like, but wait, don't end the story now. And then they do. And it's just like, oh no. So I wish that there would have been more. I wish it would have been longer. So I hoped if MXTX ever revised Scum Villain, she would give some more time to the characters and flesh out the ending a little bit more. That would be nice. That would be good. I can't believe Be Happy that I took your questions. I'm sorry. There's plenty more. So we'll have more to answer there. I'm sorry about that. Cookielish says, what is your favorite non-canon ship from MXTX? It is one from Heaven Official's Blessing, and it's one that is not technically canon, but definitely should be canon. I don't necessarily want to say what it is because that will spoil something very huge, but involves a princess and involves a man with a giant penis. So those two are my ship. I love them so much. I consider Beef Leaf canon. Sorry, I consider Beef Leaf canon. Beef Leaf's canon to me. It is not non-canon. I know MXTX has said otherwise, but I'm considering it canon. But no, the ship of a certain gentleman with a very attractive body and man part and a lady that could care less. They are my favorite. It's one of my favorite tropes when the man that's super attractive and everyone loves them and they are attracted to this one person that doesn't really see them at all. I live for that trope so much. I love it. And then he has to fight for the other person that doesn't even know they exist. I'm like, give it to me. Love it. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Musical. I hope you enjoy the stream later if you get a chance to get back to it. So thank you for dropping in. But Beef Leaf is canon to me. Absolutely. Let me see here. Yes, they are OTP. Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So yeah, that's my non-canon canon ship. Someone says, if only we got to see how Bingchu made it to the cottagecore phase of their life. What a damn tease, right? What a damn tease. That's what I would like. I kept wanting in the extras more from that type of phase with Bingchu. I kept wanting more of that, Rose. And when MXTX was like, nah, I was like, son of a bitch, how dare you? Truck, I could see that with Beef Leaf. I definitely could. Breezy says, what do you think of the pairing of Wei Wuxian and Wen Qing that we heard of as in the early draft of the Untamed? Oh gosh. Okay. Real quick with that, I would say, Breezy, to answer your question, I was like, no. Of all the characters, of all of MXTX's characters, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, you don't separate that. And that felt like such straight baiting. I was like, no. I think Wen Qing and Wei Wuxian are great as platonic friends. And I love the relationship they have. I love the idea of men being able to platonically support female characters without them resorting to being a love interest. And that is something that I applaud MXTX for in doing that. Oh God, there are female characters that can just interact with these men without being oogled as a potential mate and partner. And that's what I liked about Wen Qing and Wei Wuxian's relationship. So when I saw that with the earlier drafts of the Untamed, I was like, no, I'm glad they didn't end up going that route. Yeah, Lan Wangji would not have been happy. Like, let's not put him into even more despair, shall we? Red the Best says, do we know who the original couple was in Proud Immortal Demon Way? Was it Shin Ching Cho and Lo Binghe, or was it supposed to be a love triangle? Ooh, I always thought that it was Lo Binghe and Shin Ching Cho. I thought that's how it was, and it was just coded that way. And Shang Ching Cho was trying to like Shang Qinghua was trying to do it, trying to get away from that being official, but that's really what it was. I don't know about the love triangle aspect of it. I could see it with Liu Qingge, but I thought they were mainly just a ship together. Okay. And now the version of the Untamed, there's still some tension between them, and I don't like that. Yeah, I mean, the Untamed, the one thing about watching Word of Honor and watching about the Untamed is I know about Chinese censors. So I know going in, and Ruby is like plastered herself there. I have noticed, I know what's coming, that they're going to censor things and alter some things, which is why I like with Word of Honor, I'm going to be watching and reading the novel afterwards. So I'm going to be reading the novel after watching the series. So anything the censors were trying to cover up, I'll be able to see for myself, which is fun, and to see what they cut and added and all that fun stuff. Because I think adaptation is interesting. So I'm excited to see where that goes from here. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yes, next, Be Happy has this question: in the extras, which story did you like best and why? This was actually, I mean, very easy. Shang Qinghua and Mo Beijun. They're my favorite extras. They are my favorite extras. I freaking love those extras, which will tie into Be Happy's question that comes next. But I would have to say, if I had to pick another one, it would be Liu Qingge fighting the succubi and that extra. So if we're talking about love triangle with Scum Villain, I really did like the Liu. I just liked getting more with Liu Qingge in general, because with his character, I felt like I wanted more. I kept wanting more. He kind of gets tossed to the wayside a little bit in the series. And so I wanted more with Liu Qingge as we went. And so that extra was really fun. And plus, it gave, for this series to be MXTX's first series and for it to be the only one where I feel the fandom is okay if you ship Shin Ching Cho with other characters. I shipped Shin Ching Cho and Liu Qingge a lot in this series. A lot. I really liked them as a couple. Obviously, he ends up with Lo Binghe, but I shipped them a lot. And I was like, okay, cool, because I thought it was interesting. But Mo Beijun and Shang Qinghua, they're a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm Be Happy's like, I knew it, Mo Shang. We're gonna get into that. What scene in Modao Zushi would you most want to read from Lan Wangji's perspective? Oh, the branding. I know we get that in the story, but I would want to know finding the body or not finding the body, getting our little Ajong, everything. I want to see from Lan Wangji's perspective. I would love to read Modao Zushi from Lan Wangji's perspective, like do the Twilight where we get it from Edward Cullen's perspective. I would love to give Lan Wangji with from his perspective of just how he suffered. It'd be angst central how he suffered while Wei Wuxian was gone. I would live it up. Oh, I love that we have some Liu Ching Cho hands in the chat. Yes, please. I mean, yes. Even when MXTX said in the interview that Liu Ching was straight, I was like, really? Are you for sure? Is okay? Okay, are you just saying that so we don't make the Binghe fans mad? Okay. I was like, no, I don't think so. I really agree with Rose. It would have been fun to see Liu Qingge interact with his sister more and see more of what the story would have done after the official. That's why I wish they would make the story longer, because there were so many opportunities, not just with Shin Ching Cho and Lo Binghe, but with all of the characters. Like, everyone has this huge ship of Liu Qingge's sister with her name, my God, with Sha Hualing. I was like, there are so many people that ship Sha Hualing and Liu Mingyan together, and I'm like, I know why people ship them together. I get it. I know why they ship them together, but at the same time, I don't feel like the story gave me enough to justify me wanting to like hop aboard that ship. So yeah, I love everybody's like, I have a character sheet next to me because it's been a while since I've read Scum Villain, and some of the characters I'm like, I need to refresh myself. But yeah, so Liu Mingyan and Sha Hualing, I like them as a ship, and the fan art of them is amazing, but I just wish that the story had more of them in general, and more of Liu Mingyan being this master smut writer that we just get casually thrown in like it's a cookie crumb. I would love more of that. I would love more introspection to that, because for the longest time reacting to the series, I thought that it was just Shang Qinghua doing it. And then I was like, oh, okay. All right. Lorelei S says, I am a Shinjui and Shinyon swap. Ooh, I like the idea that Shinju getting therapy in the 20s. Oh my God, could you imagine? That is something that I feel the fandom with Scum Villain and why it's so strong is because this series, because it's a transmigration story and it involves modern times, there are so many possibilities of what you can do with these characters, and will characters get transmigrated back and forth, and you know, I feel like there's so many options, and the fandom can kind of go wild with fan fiction and things like that. So, which there's a question about fan fiction later on that I'll get to, but I just love it. I think it's really, really cool. But yeah. So Be Happy says, in the extras, are you, well, in general, Be Happy says, are you Mo Shang or Bingchu? You all know the answer to this question. You all know the answer of this question. I am a Mo Shang fan, and I will be honest, I have gone back and reread the extras with Shang Qinghua and Mo Beijun a lot more than some of the other extras. I live for Mo Shang. And I think I live for Mo Shang not only because they're just so weird about their relationship, and I love it. I love when characters get kinky and weird, but I love how consensual it is between them. They're Shang Qinghua, look, for better or worse, I find myself relating more and more to Shang Qinghua every day. And I was like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? It's probably a bad thing. But I was like, no, I get him more and more every time I reread his parts. I'm like, no, I get it. I get it, you monster. But I just love the idea that he kind of gets to be with his fan favorite. And then the fan favorite's like, okay. I love it. It's great. As Rose Jennison says in the chat, Scum Villain is an excellent sandbox to play in. Hello, Dushik. I love that. Nice that you're in the chat. Ruby has joined us as well. So yeah, Mo Shang is consensual and communicative. Anime Annie, that is the reason why I love them. They're consensual, communicative. It's not hard. It's not hard. And the thing that I love about them is that it can still be angsty. It can still be kinky, angsty, and weird as shit, but it can also be communicative and consensual. Those things are not mutually exclusive. They can be all together and it's perfectly fine. Oh, Airplane Bro supremacy. I will not lie, Cookielicious. Airplane Bro is a platonic ship that I dig. I dig them as a platonic ship. I love their dynamic. Anytime in the story that you had Shin Qingqiu having to talk with Shang Qinghua, I looked forward to those conversations every chapter that we got, because I'm like, I want to see them interact with one another, because they have such animosity towards each other, but it's also like, it's like begrudging friends. It's like Goku and Vegeta. They don't want to be friends, but here we are. So I love it. The noodles did wonders to a couple. Yes, they did. If everything could be solved in relationships with ramen noodles, we would be in a much better place. So yeah, I love it. Tamir says the OG Shang Qingqiu transmigrating to the real world would be fun. He could build his life since his core formation wouldn't have much effect. Exactly. I think it would have been cool if we had gotten them just switching places rather than one dying and one living. I think that would have been neat if we had an extra that MXTX wrote of the OG of Shinju in the modern world. That would have been really interesting, right? Be Happy asks, Be Happy, I loved this question. This question is one of my favorites. Be Happy asks, if you were to transmigrate, who would you like to reincarnate as? This is really a hard question because, as you know, there are many characters in Scum Villain self-saving system. And I was trying to think to myself, which character, one, has not a terrible ending, two, isn't totally horrifically affected by the transmigration, and three, can just kind of do whatever they want and doesn't suffer a lot of consequences. And so even though it may have taken them a bad route to get there, this is my controversial yet brave opinion, I would transmigrate into Mengmo. I would transmigrate into Mang Mo because then I could just float around in people's dreams and just be like, what's up? And then if I just wanted to peace out, I'd be like, all right, leaving the dream, bye. And then like nothing bad happens to me. I just kind of float in and out. Lo Binghe leaves me alone because Lo Binghe kills like half the people in this book. So I was like, I'm just going to peace out. I don't get bothered. Nobody's going to touch me because I'm a ghost. I can just filter in and out. And then if I want to, I'll just be able to go into the dreams of Shin Ching Cho and Lo Binghe and get some free smut out of it. I mean, I don't, but okay, no, here's the deal. Be happy. I'm dealing with a bratty Lo Binghe, but this is like pre-abyss. Well, no, it's right after he falls in the abyss. But then why'd you point out the flaw in the system? Yeah, no, I would have to deal with bratty Lo Binghe, but then again, I'm also a ghost, so I would just like peace out and be like, I'll leave you to your angst. Here's a tissue. And then he would leave eventually, and then I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore. Be great. It'd be great. Just be like, bye. Yeah, Liu Chinghe for me, if it's Scum Villain rather than Prattamore. Yeah, I mean, Liu Chinghe wouldn't be a bad person to transmigrate to, but dear God, he's got to deal with a lot. No, I feel like Meng Mo doesn't have a lot of responsibilities after Lo Binghe leaves the abyss. He kind of just floats around and offers advice. I was like, yeah, right. Exactly. I would have copies of Proud Immortal Demon Way to keep me occupied while Lo Binghe's training. I'll be like, I'm reading chapter 777. Get back to it. And then just go back to reading. You know, I feel like that would be appropriate. But yeah, I thought about it long and hard. And Meng Mo seemed like it was the most fitting for me in that series. Let me see here. Oh, there was another question right before here that I think Breezy had asked. Oh, I've read another Danmei in which the protagonist is like a modern day Wei Wuxian. Ooh, that's exciting. Maybe one day I'll get to it. I'm sure you all will have lots of recommendations. I have a ton for after Word of Honor, so maybe it'll be one of them. Okay, so thank you, Be Happy, for all of those questions. Those were fantastic. They made me think, but I have plenty more questions to get through, so we need to dive into those. Breezy, speaking of which, you're here, said, I'm interested in hearing your analysis and comparison of the MXTX Red Blacks and their relationships. And that kind of ties into Leanne, who also asked, I would love to hear your comparison of the MXTX Red Blacks. So, yes. Cookielicious, I'm assuming you're meaning Kaleidoscope of Death, and I have the first volume. It was sent to me, so if it wins after Word of Honor, who knows? Perhaps. So Breezy and Leanne, I wrote down kind of my interpretations of our three Red Blacks in the most generalized, non-spoilery fashion that I could. And they all kind of tied together. Well, Wei Wuxian and Hua Chong tied together. I put down Wei Wuxian is a flirty gay Sherlock that's a bottom. And then I put down that Hua Chong is a flirty, serious gay Moriarty as a top. And both of them could run a brothel together. I love Wei Wuxian and Hua Chong because they're so flirty and they're so romantic, but in very different ways. Wei Wuxian is not openly romantic. Wei Wuxian is very cat-coded, and he doesn't want to admit that he's romantic. A lot of that is saved for Lan Wangji, which it's funny, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji and Jillian and Hua Chong are very polar opposites. Whereas you have Lan Wangji is the romantic, stoic one, and Shilian is the loud, like a social butterfly, but non-romantic one. And then you have Wei Wuxian, who's the social butterfly, non-romantic one, and Hua Chong is the stoic, romantic one. So it's like they just kind of swap, but they work together really well. And I feel like they would get along great. I feel like Wei Wuxian and Hua Chong would look at Lo Binghe and be like, you need some more time to cook, son. And they would send him back to the Red Black MXTX training school. Because I put down Lo Binghe is a disaster top, should be bottom, who's kind of like a Nepo kid that gets a job at a brothel, but has the best universal karma and has taken advice from the worst people. Like, I don't want to trash talk Lo Binghe. Y'all watch my reactions. There's enough of that there. I don't mind Lo Binghe. I think he gets advice from terrible people. I think that he is a disaster, like a disaster himbo. Bless his heart. I'm the most Southern voice I can say. Bless his heart. Like, he is a disaster. But I can't hate him because we talked about in the reactions, like, you know why he is the way that he is. Like it all makes sense the reason why he is. Be Happy says he'd be the cook in the brothel. Yes, he would kick our sweet trash goblin out. He'd kick Chi-Rong out and take his spot cooking in the brothel. Hua Chong would never let Chi-Rong near the brothel to begin with, but just in terms of cooking, he would definitely take that spot. I will say this for Lo Binghae. Lo Binghae, his best quality is his unconditional love. So if he does love you, he will cook for you. He will make your bed. He will massage your feet. He will just also traumatize you with his giant penis. So you win some, you'll lose some, you know? Anime Annie says they would be fantastic brothel madams, though I can't imagine how both Shilian and Lan Wangji would be flustered when they'd visit, with Shilian being outwardly so and Lan Wangji's. That's what I love. See, that's the thing. Shilian is such an expressive outward person where he's like, like you immediately know what he's thinking. If it's not something serious, if it's something serious, you won't. But then Lan Wangji, it's like stoic, stone face. You will never know he's internally screaming 24/7, right? Lo Binghae is like Shilian on crack in terms of just being so expressive. Whatever Lo Binghae is thinking, there is not an internal monologue in that boy's head. You are going to know what he is thinking from start to finish, no matter what. Like Lo Binghae would just cry. Yes. Oh, Lo Binghae would be the cook and the bouncer. Yes, he would be. I really like it. What I like that MXTX does is MXTX plays off of characters that are on the surface opposites attract, but then when you get to know those characters, they're revealed to have a lot more in common than you think, and it actually makes sense of why they fit together. So I think that's one of MXTX's strengths, is just making the characters like fit together really, really well. So he'll just do both at the same time. Lo Binghae doesn't have to contemplate whether to laugh or cry. He'll just do both. Yes, he is Shilian on crack. He's just to an extreme, honestly. So it's endearing. It is endearing between them. So I can't say that it's not, right. Pancake has the question that I want to answer next, which is, do you think that this is a pretty loaded question for Scum Villain. Do you think that Yu Qingyan, Heart Yu Qingyan, and Shinju have any chance at all of recovering their relationship in the main story? If yes, how? Or are they just kind of doomed as a couple? I feel like the chat will have things to say about that one. What a sad, oh my gosh. That was one of the best reveals, I think, of the story, was when we got into the extras and all of that with Yu Qingyan and Shinju. That was one of my favorite extras too. That one was so good. I was like, to know their backstory and how tragic it is, I was like, okay, MXTX has no mercy for the side characters. MXTX is like, if it's not the main couple, she's just like, I'm going to wreck everything with the side characters, make their worlds just fall to pieces. And you're like, right now? So at least their other halves can do the cooking. Oh, y'all are talking about Binghae cooking. Binghae is a great cook. I honestly thought that Yu Qingyan and Shinju, they are doomed. I think so. We as the audience would like to hope for the best. It's like there's been so much. It's one of those things where you took like a Fabergé egg that was so fragile to begin with, and you just took a hammer and smashed it. And even if you can glue it back together, even if you can rebuild it, even if you can piece it together one by one, it's still not going to be what it was. And what it was already really fragile to begin with. So I just can't see it. I can't see it being anything but doomed. And I think MXTX did that on purpose. She was like, no, this is going to be the doomed couple. And I was so suspicious of Yu Qingyan the entire series of Scum Villain. I was so suspicious of him. I think because of Heaven Official's blessing, I was so suspicious of him as an authority figure and my thoughts about him. And then when we find at the end how tragic it is, I was like, oh, my heart just broke for both of them. It was, yeah, I feel like Heaven Official's blessing will make you, the end of Modao Zushi will make you wary of every authority figure. And then Heaven Official's blessing confirms all of those wary suspicions. And then you go back to Scum Villain and it's like, no, everybody's fine. Where are you getting that from? And you're like, because I started with Modao Zushi. That's why. So Yes, I absolutely believe it's the TGCF of Impact. Be happy. Yeah. Oh man, the streams of blood passing by each other, vis-a-vis, that part tore me up. I was like, are you kidding? That's such a perfect visual metaphor, and just MXTX, they did so good with that extra and that story. My heart was already broken for them as a couple, and then it just increased tenfold. Breezy, who's the better top, Lan Wangji or Hua Chang? Ooh, 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 that's asking a question. Now MXTX said Hua Chang was the most skilled top. That is my one thing. He spent hundreds of years fantasizing. I think that age is the only thing that has Hua Chang kind of edging out, edging out the competition literally. But here's my thing. I feel like who is the more romantic of the two? Well, I don't know. Hua Chang's pretty romantic too. That's hard. I'd have to say I'd have to say Hua Chang. I feel like Lan Wangji has yearned. Lan Wangji's yearning is maybe more intense, but maybe it's hard. It's like intensity versus endurance is like the difference between Lan Wangji and Hua Chang. That's a hard go, right? Oh, hey, Yumi. I'm glad I could catch another stream. Yes. So I'm doing this stream about Scum Villain and MXTX, and we'll talk about BL and Danmei in general after this. So it's exciting. I'm also going to do a stream next week in the morning, my time, probably 10 a.m., 9 or 10 a.m. Central Standard Time next week, where we'll talk about Revolutionary Girl Lieutenant. So that'll be fun. Hello, Pancake. That's all right. You're here. You didn't forget. Breeze says, do you think Hua Chang and Lan Wangji would get along if they met? Oh, I think that they would after a moment. I think at first Hua Chang would be very wary of Lan Wangji, and Lan Wangji would be wary of Hua Chang. I feel like Hua Chang would be more wary of Lan Wangji because Lan Wangji has accepted Wei Wuxian at the gremlin that he is. And so Lan Wangji, I feel like Lan Wangji is pretty receptive towards negative energy and he can convert it. So I feel like he'd be okay with Hua Chang sooner. But Hua Chang, I think, has as much of a jealous streak as Lan Wangji has. I think Hua Chang's is bigger. And so I think Hua Chang would be a little bit more jealous. And at first be like, who are you? Do you have an interest in Shi Lian? And when Lan Wangji was like, no, not at all, he'd be like, okay, we're good. I think they get along. I think that, yes, I think, oh my God, Shi Lian, Yumi's comment about Lan Wangji tutoring Hua Chang how to write elegantly. Oh, Shi Lian's already solved his problem. Shi Lian would be like, you there, could you teach him how to write calligraphy? I got to go do a thing. Like, I feel like Shi Lian would hire him out. Shi Lian would hire out Lan Wangji in a heartbeat. Would Shi Lian and Wei Wuxian get along? And could they stomach each other's cooking? Shi Lian would kill everybody. It's over. No. Shi Lian would kill everybody. That's, yeah, no. Shi Lian would, I think Shi Lian could handle Wei Wuxian's cooking. I recently had some friends that did the, it's a German dish. It's like, starts with an S. It's like, what is it called? I have to look it up, but it's like fish that's fermented, and it's like a challenge right now on the internet where you open up the can and it smells like 1,000-year-old diaper and they're supposed to eat this fish. When I think of Shi Lian's cooking, I think that it's that can of like 1,000-year-old German fish that nobody wants to eat. I think that Wei Wuxian, Shi Lian could handle that cooking, but I do not think Wei Wuxian could do the otherwise. I don't think it could. I think Shi Lian would get along great with Wei Wuxian because Wei Wuxian's pretty easygoing and a social butterfly, so he would want to be friends with Shi Lian. And I think Shi Lian would be like, oh, a nice person. I think they'd get along just fine, right? The question should be, would Lo Binghe and Shin Qingqiu get along with all of them? That's, I think, where it gets crazy, because I think that Shin Qingqiu would have no patience for Wei Wuxian. I think Shin Qingqiu would have no patience for Wei Wuxian, and he'd be like, nope, and bring the fan out. I think that Shi Lian would get along with Shin Qingqiu fine, but Shin Qingqiu would be like, are you naive? Like, who are you? I don't know. I think Shin Qingqiu would be a little judgy. And then Lo Binghe would just be the biggest puppy dog in front of Hua Chang and Lan Wangji. They'd just be like, I think Shin Qingqiu, Be Happy says, would get along with Lan Wangji the best. Yes, I 100% agree. I think they would get along fine. I think they'd both be like, hi, stoic person. We good? We good. And then I think that that's where Lo Binghe would probably get jealous of Lan Wangji, and that'd be a terrible idea. So yeah, like don't mess with Lan Wangji. One crack ship I stumbled upon recently, according to Mir, is Junwoo and Lo Bing. What? Why would they do that? That's terrible. No, no, no. Junwoo and Lo Binghe. I wouldn't wish that on Lo Binghe. And there's a lot of things I'd wish on Lo Binghe. I wouldn't wish that upon him. No, no. Get that poor, he's a puppy dog, if anything. Get that boy out of there. No, 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 no. That's too much chaos. No. Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. Yumi says, I think Wei Wuxian would be the friend that doesn't know what too much information means. Yes. And here's the problem is the thing that Shi Lian, I feel like sometimes shares too much information and doesn't get the social cue of what's acceptable to say in public, because he says a lot of things that the Heavenly Court's like clutching their pearls over. So I feel like Wei Wuxian and Shi Lian would just and yes each other into oblivion, and then it would take everybody else to be like, no, too much power, stop. So that could be a dangerous combination. Be Happy says, who would top between Junwoo and Lo Binghe? You know what? You know what? I think that Junwoo deserves to have Lo Binghe top. I think that that should happen. I think that that's only fair in universal karma. I think that's fair. I think that that's the one circumstance where I'd be like, yes, let that happen. That'd be good for everyone involved. Breezy said, I was thinking of a story that had all of our street orphans, Wei Wuxian, Lo Binghe, Mo Ran, Shin Qingqiu, being taken in by Jilian. Oh, and the chaos ensues. That would be adorable. Shi Lian is little like what was it? Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends. Shi Lian is homes of orphans, like you know, of wayward youths. I would love it. Okay, the reason why I have this pulled out and I've had this pulled out the entire chat is because Rose Jennison asked, which Rose is in the chat with us, if you want to see more Possum Zune artworks or Skin-kun artwork, you can find them on Tumblr. The user's name is Syrup. So, oh man, Mei Niangqing. Oh, Mei Niangqing with Junwoo, absolutely, 100%. Yes. So if you don't know what Skin-zune is, I'm about to show you all because I had to suffer through that. I had to suffer through that with Scum Villain self-saving system. So I'm going to show you all this one tweet that's like, I have mixed feelings about this. Prepare your eyes. Feast upon its beauty. Feast upon its terribleness. Look at that shit. No. 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 Why? Yes, we're getting into the Skin-zune because I had to get into the Skin-zune. I had to get into it, so now I'm making you all get into it. Why are they cats? Why are there nipples? Why is Shin Qingqiu nursing them? I have questions that don't deserve answers. No. So Rose Jennison was like, you should go look up some of their other works. And I was like, well, why would I not torture myself into oblivion? But yes, look at this one is from Koi Chaser. What? What is this? What is this? Featherless bird? Shin Qingqiu. This skin Shin Qingqiu with the baby bird. Lo Binghe, but why? Why? Why would you do this? I know. Prison girl. Prison honey. I cannot. And so then I went down another rabbit hole and was like, no, this is my favorite version of the Skin-zune, where it's literally like a very upscale fancy chibi art of Shin Qingqiu with the mammaries. The mammaries are so endowed. And then they're just like, this is the high scale. This is the caviar version of the Skin-zune. This is the caviar. Anime Annie, I'm so sorry. Your brother had to hear that. Why are there nipples? This is a question of the ages. We're asking ourselves questions that should be answered. It's so cursed. One of the weirdest cursed ones is like, no, the most cursed out of all of them is when they do the hyper, like the realistic drawing of the characters like you would see in the actual published novels themselves, but with like, why the fudge does he have a centipede body? Why is there a centipede body? No, Yumi, you don't need to fall into this hole. No. Oh my God, why? Just Rose Jennison got me down this hole, and I couldn't crawl my way back up. At least with this one, someone did Tumgik did the one where it's the SKINZU'Nd, but it's in a maid costume. Like, at least there's that one. That one's fine. That one's clothed. That one's appropriate for a teenage audience. That one I don't have to worry about. It's like, that one's cute. That one I'm fine. Vis-a-vis, you should be fully gagged. When people started sharing these in the Discord, I was like, why are we doing this? What is happening? I've never seen such unhinged like artwork until I got into Scum Villain self-saving system. Okay, I'm going to show you all one, and I'm going to have you watch your screens. Make sure there's no kids around. Make sure that you are in a safe place where no one can see you and hear you scream. But why? Why? But why? I can't. An epidemic of art in the channel. I just could not. Or, okay, look. The tiny, oh my, oh! I went to go find this picture of, I went to find this picture. Okay, I'm going to show you first. It's of, here, I'm going to show you the bottom thing that came up first. So it's of him. It's of little Lo Binghe as a shrimp. And that one's super cute, right? So the shrimp one's adorable. We like Shrimp Binghe, right? That one's all right. Shrimp Binghe is cute. But then right below it, bitch, you know what's coming. Right below it. Why is this happening? No. I just like right under the Shrimp Binghe was Sushi Binghe. Was Sushi Bingchu. And I can't, y'all. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could. They didn't stop to think whether they should. Pancake. That's so good. God, why? But why? Also, last one, I promise. Last one for now is going to be this like Binghe as an octopus as a child. Binghe as an octopus as a child, and then he grows up to be the octopus that's clinging to Shin Cho. God, I will say this for the artists. You all the people that do the SKINZU'Nd ones for Scum Villain, they're so creative. And the octopus Binghe gets me. The octopus Binghe is the most appropriate because it's like him clinging to Shin Cho. I'll never eat sushi again without I won't either. I can't either. It's over. Every time I go to a sushi restaurant now, I'm going to be looking at the little shrimp. I can't order shrimp tempura anymore. I can't do it. Binghe has ruined. Bingchu and SKINZU'Nd has ruined shrimp tempura for me. I can never again. It's going to have to be tuna or salmon. I can't go back. God, look, okay, for a second, Be Happy said in the chat, talking about it makes for some monster effing fantasies for Shin Cho. Oh my God, I think that the fan art of Shin Cho eating sushi Binghe has been shared in the Discord. I think I've seen that one. For a hot second, I want to plug real quick before we get to our next question by Rose. I want to plug real quick. If you monster effing of Scum Villain self-saving system, then I think you'll like the Summer Hikaru died, because I'm pretty sure we're going that route, and I'm pretty sure that I'm having to accept parts of myself that is okay with that and wants that. And as someone in their 30s, I was like, did you imagine in your 30s questioning whether you'd be okay with monster effing? And now I have to come to terms with that, and I am fine with it and avidly supporting it. So, okay. That's amazing. Breezy, we're going to need a palate cleansing question after that one. So, have you seen Wicked? What do you think the parallels of Wei Wuxian and Elphaba? Oh, ooh, that is amazing. Okay. Yes, I love that parallel. I like it because that's making Lan Wangji into Glinda. So yes, I have seen Wicked. I read parts of the book, but I've watched the musical and I've seen the first part of the movie. So, but yes. So, I'm so excited. Yes. I don't want to know any episodes. Did you know of Star Wars things are happening? I want to be surprised. But yes. So uh-huh. Oh yes, no, please no spoilers about the Summer Hikaru died. I am only watching anime only, and I don't want any spoilers, so please none. The first episode's only out on the channel, if that's cool. Yes. But y'all can talk amongst yourselves in the comments and whatever. So thank you, Luca. Lice. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm happy you like the videos. I'm sorry you joined. You just missed the part of the chat where we were talking about really messed up things. So we're back to normal. And thank you. One of my favorite things about reactions is I love watching things and being surprised. I love watching series and having a twist and being like, oh, and even if you kind of see it coming, it's fun to get it confirmed and to be like, and usually it gets confirmed in a way you're not expecting. And so that's kind of the fun. That's honestly the fun thing about Scum Villain is that there were so many surprises in the first few volumes of that series that I was like, I was not expecting this to happen. And that was something that really drew me to the series, was that it was just every week I'm like, I have no clue where this story is going, and it's going to end up somewhere I didn't even expect, which is you should expect that from your stories, right? What fun is knowing what's going to happen. Nicholas says, we're talking about cracked ships, cursed art, and monster effing. You didn't mention much. Honestly, I thought about that today. I was like, there's a new Frankenstein movie coming out, and Frankenstein is, tale as old as time, Mary Shelley. I was like, I'm like, is there ever going to be like Frankenstein that's like a BL where Victor makes like the monster, and then, is that getting weird? It could be getting weird, but I thought about that today. I was like, what do we do with that? So Rose Jennison's other question, to get back on track with Scum Villain, Rose Jennison's other question is, I am curious if you ended up ever reading about Scum Villain's fanfics. If so, did you enjoy them? Have you come across any particularly interesting story premises? And are you open to any recommendations? Ooh, okay. I honestly, if you all want to give recommendations for Scum Villain fanfiction, definitely do it in the comments of this live stream. I'm up for that. I'm up for any recommendations for comments. That sounds fine with me. I'm open to any recommendations. Y'all can comment down any like titles or things that you want me to read. That would be cool. I haven't read a lot of Scum Villain fan fiction. I did read some Liu Qingge fan fiction only because I was shipping him and Shinchingcho. I wanted to read it. And so I did look up some Liu Qingge fan fiction. But there's not as much as I want. But I did try to look up some of those, so that was fun. I have enjoyed what I've read. I feel like, and this may sound weird, but I feel like the sheer volume of Scum Villain fan fiction and the sheer number of scenarios can be overstimulating, very easily overstimulating. It's one of those like, where do you start? One of those, like, I feel like if I go to look up Scum Villain fan fiction, there's so much of it. And I'm like, I don't even know what tag to start with. I don't even know where to like begin, much less go to. So I feel kind of overwhelmed when I look, and then I end up being like, I'm good. I'm just going to stick to some Liu Qingge fan fiction and we're all good from there. I have looked up some Mo Jun and Shang Qinghua as well because I wanted some more Mo Shang in my life. But other than that, I've not looked up too much fan fiction, but there is a lot. And there's a lot of Omegaverse. I feel like MXTX has had a lot of Omegaverse fan fiction, and that's not bad. I'm okay with Omegaverse, honestly. Let me see here. I don't know where the story is going, and that's a good thing the majority of the time. Yes, I feel like I don't want a story to get off the rails and become unhinged and not follow a certain logic, but I like when there are surprises. I'm working on the answers from Patreon. I'm working on them. Yep. But I have answered your question. Yes, absolutely. But it'll be saved so you can see it, Pancake. No problems. Let me see here. Did you read many Heaven Officials Blessings fanfics? Pancake, to answer that question, I have read more Heaven Officials Blessings fan fiction than I have Scum Villain, just because I've been trying to find fan fiction of my crack fanship from Heaven Officials Blessing, of the man with the giant schlong and the lady that doesn't care. I try to find fan fiction for them. There's some really good fanfics out there of them, but there's so few. And I'm like, I just definitely, I wish there were more, but I've read a lot of Shi Lian and Hua Chong like post story fan fictions, and they've been a lot of fun, right? Especially if you get into like them having a child. That's a lot of fun too, because I try to imagine like Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, they kind of have a child in their series, but did you know, Star, you came in at an interesting time. I don't want to say his name because it'll spoil the ship. So he's known for having a giant penis in Heaven Official's Blessing. That's all I'll say. But I feel like with Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, I feel like they already kind of have, with Ajan, they have a child. So they kind of already have a kid. So it's just fiction of them bringing him up. With Heaven Official's Blessing, because there's not like an actual kid, and there's been lots of ABO adjacent coding in that series, you can do a lot with that. So I like seeing stories like what their kid would be like. And then with Scum Villain Self-Saving System, they don't need a child. Hello, Bing and Xin Jing Cho, they do not need a child. They don't need to be anywhere near parenting. No. They are like, they need to stay a single couple their entire life. No kids. They need to represent the childless couples out there. We need representation of childless married couples. They need to be the representation we need to see in the world. That's all there is. They do not need a child. God, no. That would be terrifying. Let there be some representation of the single parents out there. No. Bingchu are the children. Yes. Like, I feel like Yu Qingyan is the one running the orphanage. Like, no, we don't need them to have kids. Nope. Absolutely not. Yes. Cookielicious, I'm going back to your question. Are you watching ABO Desire? I know that, oh gosh, Diana Z, who I am friends with on social media, she's watching that series, and I've heard that it's good. I've seen a couple screenshots, but I have not gotten into it. I don't know where you watch it even. I don't know where one watches that series, so I'm not opposed to it. And then someone else asked a question. Should Mo Shang have a child? No. No. This is the crazy part. I don't think Mo Bae-jun would be a terrible parent. I don't think Mo Bae-jun would be a terrible parent, but I would not trust Shang Qinghua within 20 feet of a child. No. Shang Qinghua would be like, do you want to go get me some sodas? Here's a 5, come back, I guess. Like, it just, no, they're not, no. I like the idea that MXTX wrote Scum Villain as a cautionary tale, and that some couples just don't deserve kids. It's okay. It's fine. Not everybody's fit to be a parent, and that's okay. It's like, no, none of those people deserve children. No, keep them away. No. Except maybe Yu Qingyang. Yu Qingyang with a child would be fine. Mm-hmm. Oh, I like trans Shang Qinghua fan fiction. I have seen a couple of those. Totally see it. I see it. I dig it. Yes. It's on Viki. It keeps getting recommended when I go to it. Interesting. Mo Bae-jun would freeze the child. See, and here's the problem, Be Happy. Mo Bae-jun would freeze the child into a little like comical ice cube, and then Shang Qinghua would come back and be like, I wanted blueberries frozen in my ice, not a kid. Like, you know, it would just nope, would not work. Would not work. No. Although it is a funny idea. I would honestly, like 3 Men and a Baby, if you did like a crossover of 3 Men and a Baby with Scum Villain, I think it could have a lot of hilarious results. Ali Narki, the Astro Viking. Hello. What are we talking about? Well, we've been diving into the wacky and wild world of Scum Villain Self-Saving System and talking about it today. But, you know, we're an hour and a half in. We'll probably be talking about BL and Danmei in general here in a minute. So, because I've got 3 questions left that I want to get to before we open it up for more questions with you all. Anime Annie, we're getting into their questions next. They're in the chat. Anime Annie's question is, if you could get more scenes of a character in Scum Villain, which character would you choose? Liu Qingge, 100%. Liu Qingge, 100%. I wanted more of them. I wanted there to be more of a love triangle between Shin Chingcho, Lo Binghe, and Liu Qingge, which we kind of got in that series, but I wanted there to be more scenes of him, 100%. I also wanted there to be a little bit more, until we got to the extras, I wanted there to be more Yu Qingyan and Shinju, and then the extras gave us that, which was fine. Also, until the extras, people kept giving hints of Mo Shang being a thing and how much they shipped it. And I kept waiting for it to happen because, at the very beginning of the story, we get Mo Beijun and Shang Qinghua, the OG story of them and how it goes in Proud Immortal Demon Way. And so then we found out that Shang Qinghua was transmigrated into that body. I was like, oh, okay, so that means that Mo Beijun and him are going to have some interactions. And I kept waiting for that to happen. And then we didn't get to it till the extras. But I would say Liu Qingge, I want more of. And then more with Liu Mingyan and Xia Hualing. I wanted more of them. MXTX does not write a lot of women characters, but when she does, they're good. So I wanted more of them to be satisfied. But yeah. I will say this: Scum Villain, for as many characters as it has in it, did do a decent job in 3 volumes of giving you a lot with what you got, right? Pancake says, one thing that always bugs me is that Liu Qingge and Liu Mingyan are siblings, but we don't have any scenes of them together. Yes, exactly. And I think that we should have had scenes of them together. I kept waiting for, and here's the thing about that. Liu Mingyan is the author of all the smut about Shin Qingqiu and Lo Binghe, right? And Liu Qingge likes Shin Qingqiu, even though he will never admit it. So I kept waiting for those 2 storylines to converge, where we got her being the author and him having the unrequited love, and for it to kind of like, there's so much comedy potential that you had in that moment of, if you could imagine him stumbling across, like Liu Qingge is tortured by the fact that he can't be with Shin Qingqiu. He walks into his sister's room to commiserate to her, and he finds on the wall like a Pepe Sylvia whiteboard coon of all of her story ideas, and it's just drawings of Lo Binghe and Shin Qingqiu doing it, and like all of these scenarios. And Liu Qingge is like, what? Like, there's so much comic potential with that. Like, you could have gone so far with it, and I wanted MXTX to just dig a little more into that pair of siblings. So what can you do? Ali Narki says, the first time reading Scum Villain, I couldn't believe Mobe and Airplane's relationship was much healthier than the main couples. Yes. I was completely shocked by that. I was completely shocked. It was a very welcome surprise. And it made me love Mo Shang so much, but I was just like, damn, okay. Also, it's like one of the rare occasions where MXTX has like a second side couple, even though she won't completely confirm it. It's like, but come on. But yeah, I thought I loved that. Liu Qingge, would she deviate? Yes, he would. Just dead on the spot. And that's the end of him, right? Interesting. I wonder if we had a story where he transmigrated to see Shinyan, that would be a cool modern AU, to see Liu Qingge transmigrate to the modern world and have to interact with Shinyan, who is a fanboy for Lo Binghe, and then they develop a relationship based around that, and he has to deal with a fictional character being his main rival. It writes itself. That's why I feel like the fan fiction with Scum Villain can be so oversaturated and so like overstimulating, because there's so many different ways that, because MXTX doesn't end the story with like finality, you could take the story and go so many directions with it. And there's so many possibilities. And I give her credit. To her credit, I mean, I would think fan fiction is the most sincerest form of flattery. I get kind of annoyed sometimes when authors get mad about fan fiction. So for example, there is an American writer, Anne Rice. She did an interview with The Vampire. She notoriously hates fan fiction, and she thinks her characters have no right to be written about. And that's her prerogative, by all means. If that's your property, your characters, you don't want people to write about them, whatever. My view is that it is really flattering to have someone write about your characters. Like Official Cloud Bakery, their patron, they did a fan fiction about Whiteboard Coon that I did an April Fool's video on. I was so flattered. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I feel honored that somebody would do that. But, some authors just they don't feel the same way. Be happy. I have conflicted feelings for the extra with OG Binghe and our Binghe. We had a dip into OG Binghe's loneliness and the unrequited hidden love for Shin Qingqiu. Ooh, yes, I agree with that. That one is honestly one of my least favorite extras, if I'm being real, because I feel like we got into that in the main story a little bit. And then I thought it was kind of weird that extra felt kind of weird to me, and I can't put my finger on it, but I felt bad for the original Lo Bing a little bit, and I feel like Shin Show did as well. But then that makes you kind of question about the relationship with the current Bingchu, and you're like, so it was a very conflicting extra. Which I applaud MXTX for writing extras that are not going to resonate with everybody, and for saying these are my thoughts. I'm putting it out there, and this was her first novel, so she was like, I'm just going to throw what hits the wall, and we'll see if it sticks or not. Be Happy says too, it was also a roundabout way to tell us, look how better the current Lo Binghe is. Yes, I feel like the current Lo Binghe, I feel like MXTX might have done that extra in part to show how the current Lo Binghe is in fact a lot better because of Shin Shou's interactions with him, which is great. That helps make Shin Shou's actions of kindness seem warranted, which is good. But yeah, it's a very weird extra. I don't know how I feel about it. And then obviously my least favorite extra, which we're not going to talk about, but or we could. But yeah, that one was one of the ones I was like, I don't know. I feel conflicted about it as well. Be Happy. I like it, but then I don't. It's odd. Yeah. It's and I'm glad MXTX gives us stories where we feel conflicted and we have to think about it. Oh, the emoticon, yeah, that's it. Least favorite. I hate that extra. I'll never read it again. I hate it so much. Nope. But I do applaud MXTX for being bold and brave and for giving us things to think about and to kind of have to sort out, why do I not like this? Why do I like this? I mean, that's what writing's all about, is to make us connect with the characters and figure out how they apply to ourselves and what we want them to apply to ourselves. So I like that a lot. Also, did y'all see there was an article BBC put out about how the Chinese government punishing their Danmei authors, and MXTX and Scum Villain was the thumbnail. I was literally looking through the news and I saw the BBC article and I went, that's Scum Villain self-saving system. I was like, oh my God. But it was basically talking about Danmei writers and how they're being persecuted. And I'm glad there's attention being drawn to it because it's wild. Yeah, if you go look up Be Happy, there's a BBC article talking about Danmei authors that have been punished by the Chinese government. And the thumbnail for the article is a Scum Villain illustration. And they talk about MXTX. And I was like, oh, crap, crazy. Which honestly, you know what? Good that they're bringing attention to it because I think it's so crazy. Danmei bring in a lot of money and it introduces a lot of people to Chinese culture and Chinese literature that otherwise wouldn't have access to it or a desire to read it. So I'm like, why would you punish those authors that are bringing you in revenue and bringing you in new audiences to your literature and work just because you don't like the subject matter? I have thoughts about it. I'm like, it is wild indeed, vis-a-vis. I'm like, it's crazy because if I hadn't started reading Modao Zushi, I would probably not have gotten in to any of the other series. I probably would not have read the novel that I read for the Apothecary Diaries season 1 if I hadn't gotten into Danmei. So yes, well, the answer is that they are homophobic. Very true. But it's like, as capitalistic as things can be, you would think, because sometimes people overlook that, unfortunately for the sake of money, but it's crazy. Maybe they don't want interactions with the West. I don't know. I am not an international relations individual, but I feel I'm grateful for the internet, if anything, that has allowed fans to connect to these works. It feels like we're doing vigilante work to read Danmei and talk about it in public spaces. I feel like it's vigilante work, but I feel like it's work that needs to be done. And yes, Modao Zushi being a gateway drug to Danmei, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. I think you would have gotten to it at some point, but I'm glad you started with it. Yeah, I do have to give a shout out to Wei Wuxian, who was one of the first supporters of the channel. They encouraged me to read Modao Zushi, and so they're kind of the reason I got into it. And so I give props to them. But that was a gateway into Danmei, and I'm sure I would have gotten into the series eventually, especially because Modao Zushi was so popular at the time. But I really was very nervous starting Danmei. I was very nervous because I get resistant to change. And so I'd been just looking at anime and I was like, Danmei, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And then I've fallen in love with it. Thank you, Togpie fan. I appreciate that. That is my goal. If I can help somebody feel better with me just fangirling or if I can help you build a couch or put something together and have on in the background, that's my goal. Or if I can help your commute be better, that is my goal too. Yes. Tanya says, recently some productions moved to overseas, which gives them more freedom from censorship. The actor who plays the Blackwater in the live action is the protagonist in one of these new BL dramas. Oh ho ho. I only think I know that because someone had shared, is it the ABO Desire series? Because somebody was sharing something about Blackwater, or they were in some BL series and they were saying that they were the Blackwater, and some people were making comparisons between Blackwater and that. Interesting. Yeah. I honestly, maybe it will show if they move overseas and are successful. It's like you're missing out because people want these stories. They want to see them. There is a community that connects with them. You're missing out. So, like, what other media is there? Oh, Revenged Love. Yes, I've had a lot of people be like, you need to watch Revenged Love. And I was like, it's on the list. Okay. Interesting. Well, now you're selling it to me. Anime Annie asks, are there any stories you would like to transmigrate into in order to either experience the story in person or change things? Not an MXTX series. That's the thing. An MXTX series, I love reading them, but God, those stories can get so dark, so dark. And they are just like, they're, as much as I would like to be in those stories, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go through the pain those characters are going through. Be happy, never in 1,000 years would I transmigrate into Attack on Titan. No, I'd be dead in 2 seconds. Dead in 2 seconds, unless I could transmigrate into Ymir. No. And I don't even want to be her. No, absolutely not. Like Ymir in the Paths. That one. Yeah, that one. But no, absolutely not. No. If I were to transmigrate, let me think. Of all the series that I have read and watched, if I were to transmigrate into any of them, it would be Dead from a Rock. It would be Cherry Magic. If we're talking BL, I would transmigrate into Cherry Magic or Sasaki and Miyano. Because those series, or Daokusei I'd transmigrate into, but it's got some sad moments. I would transmigrate into Sasaki to Miyano or to Cherry Magic. Those series seem fine. Kuroko's Basketball or Haikyuu. If you gave me athletic abilities, sure. Otherwise, I'm sitting the bench the entire series. If I was to transmigrate into Haikyuu, I would want to transmigrate into probably Hinata. I'd transmigrate into Hinata. That'd be fun. Skip and Loafer. Skip and Loafer would be a good one to transmigrate into. Card Captors. Yes. Kuroko's Basketball, I would transmigrate into Kuroko because then I could be with Kagami. Then that'd be great. I would gladly transmigrate into Kuroko so I could be with no Pancake, no Puella Magi Monica Magica. I'm not transmigrating to that world. Absolutely not. Banana Fish. Ooh. Banana Fish is kind of like an MXTX story. That one's sad. I don't know if I want to be in that story. People get killed in that story. Way of the House Husband. If I can be Tetsu's wife, yes, please. Yes, please. I would, if I could be his wife, yes. I would do that one for sure. Transmigration is so weird though, because one thing that was really cool about Scum Villain was the concept of the transmigration not going the way you want it to. So like Shin Shingcho transmigrates into Shin Shingcho's body like at the appropriate time. But Shang Qinghua has to like be an infant and then live throughout that world. So it's like, oh, no. Oh, wait, was it not Way of the House Husband? Oh, yeah, who said yes? Where's Tetsu? Right? Tetsu is my jam. Anything that involves me being a particular spouse or partner of a Suda voiced character, sign me up in a heartbeat. Cookielicious. Oh my God, Cookielicious. No, I have not seen K-pop Demon Hunters because I have not had time and it is driving me up a freaking wall. I want to see that movie so badly. I want to see that movie so badly. I'm going to have to carve out time to watch it. I just am. But right now I'm trying to I'm going to be out of my office, out of this room, out of my home a few days this week. So I'm trying to get caught up on reactions to get them out in time. And unfortunately, because I'm trying to catch up on my recordings and get them ready, I know. Anime Annie, it has been so hard to avoid spoilers. It'll be so hard to avoid spoilers, but I have literally been trying to carve time to watch that movie and it's not happened. So I'm very sad about it because I want to see it so badly. Ugh. Let me tell you all, when I get to the point where I can watch it, it will be over because I have a feeling I'm going to fall in love. So when that happens, it's going to be a thing. So but eventually I'm really hopeful that, you know, I'm not going to try to influence anyone's commissions. I don't want to do that, but if someone were to commission it like for September or October, that'd be awesome, but I'm not going to force anybody's hand. I would never do that. I'm like, fine, it'll get there, it'll get there. So Don Cat, we are about to answer the last question I have about Scum Villain self-saving system, and then I'm going to stay on here until 3 o'clock, so then I'll answer some questions that y'all have about the channel and about BL and Danmei after that. The last question I have about Scum Villain, we've timed these questions out really well, so that was good, is from Breezy. Breezy3392 said, how do you think Lo Binghae, Wei Wuxian, and Huan Chong would interact if they met? We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. I think that Wei Wuxian and Hua Chong would get along swimmingly. I think that they're both kind of like different personalities, but I think they would vibe once they got to know each other. Lo Binghae would just have to adopt him. Lo Binghae would be a lot, but here's the thing though. I feel like Hua Chong would connect more with Lo Binghae than Wei Wuxian because I think that Lo Binghae's backstory I think connects more to Hua Chong than Wei Wuxian's, and in a way, I also think that Wei Wuxian could connect with Lo Binghae's backstory as well. If you talk about orphans, you talk about them being traumatized as kids, I think that they could trauma bond together. And I think that then they would get with Lo Binghae and it would be fine, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that that's how it'd be. But I think in the end they would get along just fine with one another. But yeah, I will say this. I feel like the fan art from the fandom and the Discord, the artwork that we've shared in there has helped kind of heal where I was with Scum Villain, because I'm not gonna lie, Scum Villain, especially the end of volume 3, if you were watching my reactions with me, it was really hard to get through. I know poor Be Happy and Plore had to listen to me be like, a lot of it. And so I felt like it was really hard to get through, especially given my experience. And so I'm very thankful that you all stuck with me after that, because I was like, oh, nobody's going to want to hear this girl talk about this afterwards. But I feel like it's important that we do talk about those things, and whether we agree with them or not, they're brought up, especially in stories like this, because for some people can read stories with certain triggers or certain content, and it's not a problem for them. And even people who have experienced, you know, different triggers, some of them can read it and they find it therapeutic, or they find it as a way to cope and whatever. And that's something that we should talk about. But then some people read it and it's like, now I'm will preface this. I haven't touched this in like a month because I was working on the Rent a Girlfriend video essay. And now I'm working on another video essay. So this is kind of taking a back burner. But I'm not going to lie to you all. There were a couple stories after reading Scum Villain that I told the moderators, I'm like, I don't think I can react to that story, because I think the reputation that it has and what I've been told about the content, I'm like, I don't think I can react to that. And one of them, I decided to start reading on my own. I'm not very far into it, but eventually I will have a video that'll probably be like 5 hours long come out talking about that first volume of that series. And I will have things to say, and people will probably be like, but that'll be what it is. But yeah, Ms. Essayist, I've wanted to do more video essays and I haven't had the confidence to do more video essays. So I'm working on another video essay right now because I was really happy with how Rent a Girlfriends went. I was like, okay, cool. So I want to do another one. I want to do another series that, Diva, give us a hint. Okay. So the video essay I'm working on right now, kind of dipping my toes into, or dipping my hooves into, I wanted to do I coach a speech team, and one of the students on the speech team asked if I had seen Uma Musume. And so I was like, no, what's that? And then they explained to me what it was. And I was like, huh? And so I've started to like dip my hoof into the Uma Musume world. And I'm going to do an essay on that at some point. So that's my current like side project that I need to get back into and catch back up with. Oh yeah. That's the game. There's an anime to it too. I've watched the first 2 episodes of that. And so that'll eventually be what we do. But yeah, Uma Musume is all the hype right now, and I'm like, but why? So I kind of want to figure out. That's the thing. That's what got me to Rent a Girlfriend. I was like, what is the hype around this series? And then I found out it was rage bait. And then I found out it was rage bait, and I was like, oh, okay. But I don't think that Uma Musume is rage bait, so I'm getting interested in that. So. Did you know, Star? I don't understand the hype yet, but I'm going to get there. I feel like I'm going to get there. But no, I play any mobile? Don't worry, vis-a-vis. I'm going to get back to your question in a minute. I don't play mobile gacha games, and that's one thing I want to talk about with Uma Musume because it is going off of gacha game culture. It also is tying into like I think of when Jafar goes, this Prince Abubu. I'm like, these stupid lafufus or labubus. Like, I feel like it's about the gacha game culture. And so I want to talk about that in the video and get into like gambling addiction and things like that. So I like to take something that has a funny hyped premise and then get deeper into some more like aspects of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing with that video, but that's what I'm working on. But anyway, I also did find out, and we'll talk about this in a future episode of The Summer Hikaru Died. I found out from Truck, who I don't think Truck's still on the channel, on the chat, but they told me that Cyber Games, who is animating The Summer Hikaru Died, got a lot of their money from the gacha games from Uma Musume. And so I'm like, okay, so I want to tie that into it and get into that. So I've got a lot of things I want to talk about with Uma Musume, but it's going to be, I want to spend the time to watch the anime and figure out what to do. But I'm like, if you want to take gacha money gambling funds and put it into BL, let's do it. I was like, let's go for it. So that's what I'm going to watch. That's what I'm going to do with it. But to answer your question, Vis-a-Vis, I'm going back to your thing. The other series that I had told the moderators, I'm like, I will not react to this series because I know the content of it. But I've currently read 17 chapters of this series so far, and I've made my notes. I have like 10 pages of notes already through 17 chapters, which is a lot. But I did start to read, and when I say this, y'all are going to be like, I'm expecting this to be a big thing in the chat, but I started to read Meatball's Husky and His Shizune in my off time. It's been like a month since I've read it. It's been like a month because I got busy with the Rent a Girlfriend video. But I'm on like chapter 17 right now, volume 1 of Husky and His Shizune. So yeah. Those that know about it will know and will probably know why I'm not reacting to it, but I am doing like a bunch of notes and writing things chapter per chapter about it so that when I'm done with volume 1, I will go back and make a giant video about it and a video essay about my thoughts of volume 1. A wholesome story. Well, yes. Lorelei S, I can understand your sentiments. Yeah. It's a long one. So yeah, Cookielicious, 2HA is a long ride, Marshmallow. I'm only going to be doing volume 1 before I do a video about it, but it's already a long ride. So I have thoughts about it already, but I'm going to try to get back into it this fall so I can get it done and then go from there. But gacha and horse race gambling are made for each other. Absolutely, Jesus. Yes. That's why whenever my student was telling me about Uma Musume, they're like, oh yeah, it's this game. And they were explaining it. I'm like, it's kind of like horse betting. And then they were like, oh yeah, there's an anime about it. And I was like, oh. And so then, which the anime is bonkers in the best way. And I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, Erha in my own time. Yes. Rose, that's definitely one everyone needs to take at their own pace. Yeah, I'd gotten up to chapter 17. I reached a stopping point, and then I started my research for Rent a Girlfriend. So that kind of took precedence. So I would like to get back into it. I will say it is. I'm glad I'm reading it in my own time because I can sit there and stare judgmentally at it for a while before taking notes. The only thing that I will say about it is, and I don't want to, everybody has their own tastes. So I'm not slandering when I say this, but I do like the writing style of MXTX more than Meatball at the moment. And I only think that's because of the English translation. So I don't want to say that's Meatball's fault. I think the English translation could be a big factor into it, but I am reading the official version. So it is the official copy that they released for the public in English, but the writing style is just not, I like MXTX's style maybe a little more, but I'm only 17 chapters in, so that will change. It's a freaking 9 to 10 volume series, which holy shit, why? But yeah, but Meatbun, not Meatball. Meatball. Meatball's the Temu version of it, you know. Gotta make sure I'm reading the right copy. Yeah, I definitely I don't mind it right now. There are parts of it that I like, and there's parts of it I was like, ooh, I don't like this at all right now. But maybe it will change. It's a 10 volume series, so you got to kind of give it benefit of the doubt that you're only in volume 1 and you don't know where the story is going to. But I will tell you, this protagonist, I don't like him at all. I don't like him at all. I cannot stand him right now, but it's okay because we're only on volume 1. There's lots of room for growth. Lots of room for growth. And so yeah, I'm working on the Uma Musume video essay in my spare time now, which it's been about Moran. Yes, indeed. But maybe he'll change. Who knows? Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, ooh, yeah, that's what I'm getting. But copium is real. The copium is real with that series. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Say a prayer for me in reading Erha as we go further. But yeah, I think Uma Musume is going to be my next one because it's interesting and everybody's talking about it right now. So I feel like, you know, it's kind of one of those strike while the iron's hot. But I found it, it's fascinating to me about this real quick, just to deluge, just this idea of tying in, like, I grew up with My Little Pony and with Rainbow Bright and like stories about horses and horses that interact with one another and girls with horses. And then this series comes along. It's like, but what if we put the horse and the girl together? It's like, what? So that's kind of where I'm at, but there's so much to talk about. I've only watched 2 episodes of the anime and I've got 4 pages of a script already written. So it's like writing itself, all the things you can talk about. And I'm super excited about that. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So we got about 5 minutes left before I'm going to have to take these goons out. Do you all have anything else about Scum Villain or about Danmei that you would like to ask or share in the chat? This has been so much fun. I have been honestly waiting to talk about Scum Villain for a while. And I feel like it was definitely good that I waited until now to talk about it, because I think if I'd had the live stream back when I was feeling not so nice about it, then it wouldn't have been as much fun. So, but be happy. I want to give a shout out to Danmei adaptations. Yes, which are so hard to air and roundabout ways to be approved. Yes, they deserve less hate for the CGI or set design. Oh my gosh. So can we talk real quick about Word of Honor? Just a hot second. People have been talking about like the budget for Word of Honor and how it like has been on a shoestring budget, but Word of Honor is amazing. It's so good. And the set design and costume design for that series is fantastic. I was like, it's really good. I definitely, vis-a-vis and Kukulicious, to answer your questions, when I'm done with Word of Honor, I'm going to read Faraway Wanderers. It's only 1 volume, so I feel like it'll be fine, can get through it. But I definitely would like to read more of Priest's works. I'm definitely not opposed to any of that. So yeah. Oh man. Zeus forever. Well, if it helps, next week at 9 or 10 a.m. It depends on if I have to help my family with the farm in the morning. Hashtag rural life. Next Sunday, there's going to be another live stream for July. It's going to be about Revolutionary Girl Utena. It's going to be at 9 or 10 a.m. Another series that I had some controversial takes on. We're going to talk about that series. So that's going to be a fun time. But yeah, Lord of Mysteries. Oh my gosh, did you know, Star? That is probably going to be on the polls this fall, because Be Happy said they were watching Lord of Mysteries and they informed me it's by the same studio as Modao Zushi. And I was like, you had me at same studio as Modao Zushi. So yeah, hopefully that'll be in a poll this fall. I would really like that. The Disabled Tyrant Pet Fish. Yes. Lorelei, yes, it is on my radar. It was one of the ones recommended after Faraway Wanderer, so we shall see. The Cinderella Grey manga anime is the best the franchise has to offer. I know that's one of the latest ones, so I'm excited to eventually get to it. Yes. Stars of Chaos. Y'all are talking about great series that I've heard are amazing. But yeah, I am really hoping that even with the whole AI translation and all of that, which is a problem, I am glad that Crunchyroll is getting Donghua on its platform, because that opens it up for more people getting access to it and opening up that genre. I am really appreciative of like Sunspots on the channel. Sunspots has commissioned several Korean films. I just got done watching Moonlit Winter. Oh my gosh, if I can talk. I just got done watching Moonlit Winter last night, and it was amazing. And then the summer that they recommended from last month's commissions was a GL that was from Korea, and it was really good. So no, the next Danmei poll is going to be stacked, absolutely stacked. So yeah, some people complain about the over animation. You know what? Animation is crazy because I feel like it's so varied depending on what style you like. For me and my tastes, I can adjust to a style. As long as it stays consistent, I think I'm good with watching any style of anime or any style of donghua, as long as it's consistent all the way through, as long as it has amazing characters that I can talk about and latch onto, and the story is fun. And by fun, I mean it could be mysterious, it could be heartbreaking, it could be action packed. As long as it has a good story, good characters, I can adapt to the animation. I just talked last week about Ping Pong and how the first episode, the animation, I was like, oh, I don't know about this series. And then it was amazing. So yeah, but yes, more GL and BL on the channel. That is my goal. I'm excited about it. I definitely am going to be continuing with Cherry Magic's manga and reading more of it as we go. I'm starting to react to Alien Stage starting next month. So that'll be in the August update video. There'll be more on that. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have more BL and GL in the series, and Little Mushroom, hopefully eventually. That one seems so cute and I want to see it so badly. So yeah, I'm not honestly opposed to adding more Danmei into the romance polls, because I think that it's important that they don't just stick. I mean, I always want to have Danmei Monday because Danmei Monday is fun, but there's so many good Danmei that I'm not opposed to having if I do a romance poll like after Summer Hikaru died, because I really kind of want to do a romance poll asking the Patreon what Danmei BL, GL series they would want on that poll and going from there. So we'll see. We'll see. But thank you so much. Be happy. I am so sad I don't have an MXTX work to react to. But honestly, I was afraid going from MXTX to Word of Honor that it was going to be a hard transition, and I'm absolutely living for it. So it's fun to get into that. And yes, Dan Cat, I started Summer Hikaru Died on my Patreon today. It will be on YouTube next Sunday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So yes, I am starting to watch that series and react to it, and I am obsessed. So yes, thank you so much, Cookielicious, for joining the stream. I hope you all have a great week too. It's Sunday. For some of you, it might be Monday already. I hope you all enjoy the stream. Enjoy your week. And then Cries and Broke. Well, don't worry, Dan Cat. It'll be on YouTube next Sunday. So if you can't afford Patreon, it'll be on there next week. And you can join in the fun too. And that's exciting. Yes, thank you all so much thank you all for such a good stream. Oh, thank you. You all are the goats. You all are the goats. As somebody that raised goats as a kid, y'all are the goats for being amazing and for being awesome. And our last live stream of July will be next Sunday in the morning, my time, for talking about Revolutionary Girl Lieutenant. Get some GL in here to finish out the month. So I hope you all have an amazing week as well. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great rest of your day. I'm off to go finish my discussion about Word of Honor. So I need to get back to that to talk more about episode 26. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm glad it made work more fun. You all have a great day. This live stream will be up on YouTube. I'm going to upload it to Patreon, and give Tara extra scratches behind the ear for me. So yes, gotta go. I'm gonna go talk about Word of Honor. I'll see you all next week for another live stream. So bye.